All right. Good morning,
Patriot family.
We're so cold in Florida.
Floralaska. It's
Floralaska. Welcome to Open.
Kind of cold front all the way down to Miami. Like, what is happening? Hell has frozen over.
I'm telling you what, we are not okay down here in Southeast United States. Welcome to Open Mic ladies, right here with Patriot TV. We're so grateful you guys joined us. If you're not already, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Set the notifications so you get notified every day when we go live at 10 a.m. Make sure you follow at Real Ali Leger, at Michelle Posey, and of course at Open Mic Ladies on all platforms. We've got a fun show for you today. We try to say fun, even though we carry a lot of really devastating topics. We're going to cover in the second half of our show, Allie, a little bit more focused on Minneapolis and some of what's going on through there. But there's been some stuff breaking even in Washington, D.C., some updates on the SAVE Act. We've got some people that are going on the record saying they are going to support it.
Goodness, about time. Goodness gracious.
It's exhausting carrying the weight of this on my shoulders, right?
You tell a woman.
Listen, you call it nagging, we call it effective.
That part.
Potato, it works, just saying.
And if the nagging doesn't work, we'll just be like, screw it, I'll do it myself.
That part.
Because that's the kind of independent, when you are hyper independent, that is just what happens. When you are forced to be independent, I don't want to be independent. I mean, yes, in certain areas, but I don't want to have to be masculine, I'll do it myself energy all the time.
There's no part of us that wants to climb that ladder to change that light bulb or take your shoe off to use it as a hammer. We don't want to, but we will.
But I will. All right, let's open the mic.
Here we go.
Taking back our freedom, back to where we started. We're wearing our red hat tonight. It takes more than just a feeling. Oh, better be believing, and America's gonna be home.
What do you do when they try to cancel you? MAGA Nation, we cancel proof. My red hat stays on. My red hat stays on. You know I love God, but in Trump I trust. November 5th, you gon' ride with us. Our red hat stays on. Our red hat stays on. It's the mayor of MAGA, the RNC King. 2024, freedom gon' ring. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. I'm still fighting for each one of you. And keep your red hat on.
All things, right? Absolutely. Welcome to Open Mic, guys. We are grateful that you joined us. Make sure that you comment. As Allie says, it's better to slide into the comment section than the DMs.
Yeah, you get ignored, like hyper ignored.
Well,
no.
We've gotten a couple, there's been a couple of DMs. Thank you, people that are actually part of, I think they don't do the tip line where they go to contact@openmicladies.com.
Right, no, that's
and we can tell the
important.
difference.
Yes, we can tell the difference between, like, the crazy comments and the comments we won't share.
And can we talk about the comments where you go to the profile pic and you're married with children? Why are you? We could do a whole show on
We
that.
probably should.
Dirty girls, don't do it.
Lane.
So, okay, good news. Let's start off with some good news, guys. I mean, it's like the tip of good news. It's not like the entire iceberg of good news. But the Clintons are officially going to be held in contempt of Congress. It's been slow moving, but let's take a listen to Representative Brandon Gill here.
I think that every Republican recognizes that what we issued with the Clintons was a lawful subpoena order to bring the Clintons in, to depose them, and you don't get to determine whether you want to accept a subpoena from Congress or not. You are ordered to accept that subpoena. And listen, we've been working for months with the Clintons on scheduling in good faith to find a time that would work for us, that would work for them. We began this back in August. They've been playing games the whole time, and eventually we said, here's when the subpoena is going to be. It's going to be in January. They didn't show up, and the next step, unfortunately, is contempt of Congress proceedings.
I mean, unfortunately for some, not so much unfortunate for me, what I think, what Allie thinks. But so let's back up a little bit. What took place? So Congress decided they wanted to be able to depose Bill and Hillary Clinton for a number of things to show up for questioning. This was done during the partisan January 6th Select Committee. Remember, we had Liz Cheney. Ooh, sorry, it involuntarily does that when I say her name.
Oh my goodness.
We had her as our Republican on that committee. They called in people. We've got Peter Navarro, Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, that were like, this is a farce. We're not doing this. And they largely, they arrested them. They served time in prison for that, at least with Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon. So when Bill and Hillary Clinton get their letter in the mail, it's like a jury notice. They're just like, oh, you want us to show up? Well, can we negotiate? How about we fly you out here to New York, and you just don't put anything on the record? And no, that's not how this is done. You want to talk about people who really feel they are above the law? They demonstrated it for the last 3 weeks, Allie.
Right.
So this is just the start, holding them in contempt of Congress. What do you think?
Well, I like what Brandon Gill said, Representative Gill. He's like, you don't get to choose whether or not you accept a subpoena. A subpoena is a subpoena, and you need to show up, period. End of story, full stop. I don't understand what gives it the audacity. I don't understand what gives them the right, even the thought of the fact that they think that they have the right to say, well, we're not going to show up. Well, and I think, honestly, the reason why they feel that way is because nothing has happened to those that don't show up.
Right.
So they're going based off of previous behavior and previous knowledge. So if you really want them to show up, arrest them.
Is like the government. It does move slow, and I think it's designed to do that for a reason, right? Because we don't want people falsely accused. We love that due process that legal U.S. citizens in the United States, and as much as I hate to say it, Bill and Hillary are. So they are deserved that due process, but they can't ignore it. And so in my mind, I was like, what is the next step? Like, what happens when you're in contempt of Congress? And then largely what's supposed to happen is that there will be potentially a criminal referral. And it looks like the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, which we're waiting on some things from you, Mr. Johnson, so I don't know, or the President of the Senate, either one of them could refer it to a U.S. attorney. There could be a grand jury that assembles, which we're familiar with the Crossfire Hurricane grand jury that's assembled. And there can be prosecutions and fines. You could face up to 1 to 12 months in prison, which obviously is what I'm referring to when those in Trump's administration largely gave the middle finger to the J6 Select Committee. I don't know. I don't know if that happens in this decade or. Yeah.
Right. But we talked about this when Hunter decided not to show up for his deposition.
Yeah.
And so this isn't new. The Speaker of the House and the Senate leadership can put forth this to Sergeant of Arms or to the Attorney General. Will they do it is the question. It's not if they can, it's will they.
It's will they.
Right? It's not do they have the ability? Yes, they have the ability. It's within their toolkit, as Anna Paulina Luna likes to say, but will they wield it? I don't know. We haven't seen it before. We've seen quite the opposite between the two of them. So I don't know. When you have to apply our political pressure the way we have when it comes to passing common sense national security policy through both the House and the Senate, do you really think that they're going to wield their political power that we have given them to use in this case when they wouldn't use it in other ones? I don't know.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. And I think I had this discussion with somebody this morning about some of the frustration that we sometimes see in this slow-moving arm of justice. But I'm reminded, as I need to be sometimes, that once Trump is out of office, let's say in 4 or 6 years things don't go our way and we end up with like somebody really radical back in the White House, you don't think they're going to use this same playbook because really, so you've got Bill Clinton, former president, you've got Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State. Do I think for a second that the left wouldn't love to create some narrative where potentially Trump and Marco Rubio are called in? And so you do want to see this play out in a just way so that you, but it just moves so slow.
They've done it before. They and this is what makes them so. This is what makes them. This is.
Yes.
It's like so hard to even say it. But this is what makes them so successful in their messaging, right? They understand the rules and they play by the rules. They just fabricate to a point where you question whether or not it's real because they utilize their resources. Why the Republicans are friends on the right, why they can't do it, I don't know. And it's like fear. It's like they're fearful of retaliation or fearful of going through the courts. Okay, like we were talking about as we were walking down the streets of Tallahassee after we were leaving a committee meeting. Yes, okay, fine. We're going to stand 10 toes down on this, and if it goes to court, then it goes to court. If it passes, then it sets precedent, period.
Yep.
That's the point of it all.
So be bold and
Right.
let them challenge in the courts.
I don't understand why we're tiptoeing. If we have the ability to do it and it's well within our constitutional parameters, why can we not utilize everything at our fingertips to force a situation that is justified?
Yes, absolutely. It's what we call righting the ship. And as anybody knows, if you've ever seen the movie Titanic, it takes, if it's a big rudder like we've got with our government, it takes a lot. It takes some time and it takes a hard turn. Somebody needs to grab that wheel. And that's largely what we're doing here. I want to move forward because, Canada was playing what we call FF games. We won't tell you what they're called, but with President Trump largely saying, we are going to negotiate with China on some things. And he said, hold on, Monroe Doctrine, or Don Roe Doctrine, as we like to call it now, keep China out of the Western Hemisphere. He threatened some things with China. Largely 100% tariffs were threatened. So take a listen. Fox News covered it well. Let's take a listen.
So now President Trump over the weekend threatening massive tariffs on Canada. The president posting this: if Canada makes a deal with China, it will immediately be hit with a 100% tariff against all Canadian goods and products coming into the USA. Now, the Canadian Prime Minister Carney now pushing back, saying this on Sunday: we have no intention of doing that with China or any other non-market economy. What we have done with China is to rectify some issues that developed in the last couple of years. So where does this stand?
Well, it stands where Daddy said no.
Right. Exactly. It sounds like President Trump spoke and you listened. That's what it sounds like. Because no country wants 100% tariffs. I mean, think about what happened to China. China thought they wanted it, and then it ended up being like 500% tariffs, and China was like, okay, never mind.
Okay, we're sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Please take me back.
And to imagine Democrats want to keep President Trump from instilling tariffs on other countries. Like, this is precisely why they exist. That no other president has been able to utilize the tariff the way that he's using it. It is a negotiation tool. It's a negotiation tactic, and it's well within his right to use. Why are you trying to obstruct that?
Well, and the Supreme Court has even said that they're due to hear another big case that will get out in the summer, so we'll cover that. But yeah, you're exactly right. And NATO is even getting it. You have the Secretary General, as much as I don't agree with him on anything, Mark Rutte. I thought it was butt at first. When I read it, I was like, I can't say that out loud on TV. But Mark Rutte, and he's coming out and he's like, if you think we can do this, the European Union, without the United States, you're wrong. And I'm like, the first thing I ever agreed with him on. Take a listen.
So when President Trump is doing good stuff, I will praise him. And I don't mind him publishing text messages. And if anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't. We can't. We need each other. And why do we need each other? I tell you. First of all, because also the US needs NATO. And the US is not only in NATO to prevent a mistake after the First World War, not to re-engage with Europe. And then again, the long arm of history reaching out to the US again in the Second World War, as Churchill famously said in his speech in 1941 in the US Congress. They are also in NATO because for the US to stay safe, and by the way, Arctic region is evidence here, they need a secure Arctic, they need a secure Euro-Atlantic, and they also need a secure Europe. So the US has every interest in NATO as much as Canada and the European NATO allies. But for Europe, if you really want to go it alone, and those of you who are planning for that, forget that you can ever get there with 5%. It will be 10%. You have to build up your own nuclear capability. That costs billions and billions of euros. You will lose then, in that scenario, you would lose the ultimate guarantor of our freedom, which is the US nuclear umbrella. Good luck.
Look, they get
White
it.
flag
He gets
is waving.
it, and exactly white flag, and he's letting everybody else know. Like, I don't know what planet you think you're on, but if there's no American assistance, none of us benefit.
And here's the thing, Allie, nothing has changed. It's always been like that. It's just when they look at an old, decrepit, senile man sitting in the White House for 4 years, like Joe Biden, they're like, oh, cool. He doesn't even, I mean, what do you do? What do you do in school in our day when you have a substitute teacher who largely doesn't know what the hell's going on, right? Everybody runs amok. And it's like, we had a free day at school.
And
that's exactly what we had for 4 years in the White House. We've always had this power and this authority, but nobody to flex the muscle. It's been frustrating.
And President Trump out there looking like a bodybuilder the way he flexing. It's crazy out here. Like, nobody wants something. They think they want the smoke until there's flames at the door. Who said that? McDonald. He's oh my gosh, his first name escapes me, but he's a rapper.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody wants smoke until there's flames at the door. Seriously. They know better. They just knew that they could get away with it with a lesser president.
Yeah.
Someone that isn't strong, someone that doesn't have a backbone, someone that doesn't have principles and morals and doesn't govern in sovereignty and governs, oppressively. That's not who we currently have.
In an absence of leadership, when there's an absence of leadership in any corporation, in any form of government, in a household, when there's an absence of leadership, that's when the enemy's at play. And that's when things go awry. And that's all we've been asking for is that strong, steady leadership. And the only thing that's changed from 2022, when that same Secretary General sounded very different, the only thing that's changed between then and now is that Trump is in the White House. And that's what leadership gets you. Speaking of leadership, remember on the home front we had Mason, what is Mason's last name? I can't remember off the top of my head. But he was a former Black Panther, and he would sit with us at the table and discuss with us really some of the benefits of what the Black Panther Party movement did coming up through the 60s and 70s. And really from its truth. Right, and it was not what we were taught and what we were told, right? Well, so there was a new group, they call themselves the New Black Panther Party. They got started, they kind of did some things, and then the head of the Black Panther Party movement said, you can't use our name. So I want you to take a listen to what they have to say. Allie, we'll debate it here. Let's take a listen.
Mason Weaver.
Mason Weaver.
All power to the people. As everyone knows, I'm Paul Birdsong. I got a message from Aaron Dixon today saying that he no longer supports us. That after he gave me orders to make a video saying that him and other members were coming, that he withdrew his support. And that he said that this situation is unimportant to him, even though my comrades have risked their lives and spent thousands of hours of their time and dollars in life standing behind a cause, He said he's going to make a statement saying no one has the right to call himself a Black Panther going forward. I told him to make sure that he put in that statement that he did, in fact, give us the right to call ourselves that, because I still have the messages where he did, just in case he doesn't. And I put in there also, make sure that you put in there that Emory Douglas did give us the right to wear that emblem, because I still have the messages where that happened too.
Okay.
But as it stands,
you can bring it back.
Because of that, because of me and my comrades risking our lives and all the heat that we
bring it back, David. So here's my thing.
Okay.
Yes, previously you can use the name. Yes, previously you can use the emblem. Yes, previously we take you under our wing and you can operate the way we operate. However, the moment you step out of bounds and the moment you decide to operate outside of the lane that we have built for you, that's the moment where we have every right to strip your title and strip our emblem and take back what we are from the radicals. And that's exactly what Black Panthers are doing. So no, moving forward, you are not allowed.
If you want to know what they were doing, it was their support for illegal immigrants. And what have we heard time and time from inner cities, especially when you get outside of the mainstream media narrative and you get in there and actually report on it? The communities inside the inner cities, especially your Latino communities and your Black communities, are largely saying, wait a minute, all the resources, and I'm saying, there's every ethnicity inside your urban cities. when you take resources that are meant for us and you use them for illegals, it hurts American families. It has hurt black, brown, white, yellow. It has hurt all the families here in the United States that need that assistance that it was established for. So when you have somebody under the Black Panther Party movement coming out and actually supporting illegal immigration, which is largely hurting our urban cities, our urban communities, that goes against what the Black Panther movement wanted to do in the beginning. So now you're no longer abiding by their mission statement.
Yep.
Like, maybe read the damn thing first.
No, for
you know?
sure.
Like,
100%. And that's honestly with any brand, with any branding. If you come along our branding, you're going to use our branding and our imaging, you have to abide by our mission statement. If you don't abide by our mission statement, we have every single right to strip it from you. Period. End of story. Full stop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that moves on to, I want to pivot a little bit to Virginia. Because what did we see recently take place in their gubernatorial race? Their wonderful Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears I thought was going to be a shoo-in, but it ended up Virginia turned red. They turned red in the governor's house, and that's the leadership of the state. So now you look at Virginia Democrats. Take a look at this headline that Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon posted. Virginia Democrats just moved to make any possession of 10-plus round gun magazines a misdemeanor in Virginia. There's no grandfathering this in. She says millions of Virginians own standard 30-round magazines. So now if you own those 30-round magazines, what are you going to do? Throw them out so that they can get in the hands of those that were going to obtain it illegal? This is the thing about this stupid gun legislation. You guys, people out there that don't follow laws don't care how much you tighten the laws. You're hurting legal gun owners.
Right.
And look what's going on in the streets of Minneapolis. Would you largely not like to be able to defend yourself? That's why y'all are moving to Florida. Mm-hmm. It's a violation of Supreme Court precedents, by the way.
That's exactly what Harmeet Dillon said. And she's like, this will not stand. We're not having it. Shall not be infringed. Period. In any way. I don't care if it's limited, if it's magazine limits, if it's anything. It shall not be infringed. I mean, if a woman can use her vehicle as a weapon, what are we going to do? Ban assault cars? Are we going to shrink how much gas you can put in the gas tank? We're going to shrink the gas tanks because these assault vehicles they're too dangerous. They shouldn't be on the street and in the hands of regular Americans.
It's not the weapon of choice that matters. It's the intent. That's what our law is based on. Intent, being able to prove intent. That's why you assign the penalty based on the intent. But this is interesting, Allie, because I sat down when I was a candidate in 2024 with a local media person, and they tried to drill me on the Second Amendment. And they said, no, the Second Amendment's actually referring to militia. When they talk about shall not be infringed, your right to bear arms, militia. I said, okay, who is the militia? Who was the militia when those laws were written? Mm-hmm. You and I.
Yeah.
We didn't have a continental army at one time. It was you and I. It was the people writing the Constitution and their families and their doctors and their lawyers and their next door neighbor and the farmer. They became the militia. You and I are, by right, that same militia if we choose. We choose not to because we're a nation of laws. We've got law enforcement. We've got military. But militia meant you and I. It didn't mean military.
And again, Cain killed Abel with a rock.
Right? David and Goliath.
A rock.
Slingshot and a stone.
It's not about the weapon used. It is about the intent of the person.
But what will the now blue state of Virginia, what will they put their foot down to protect? Take a look at this. Leading report says that Virginia Democrats have introduced a bill to prohibit immigration enforcement. That means stop immigration enforcement within 40 feet of a polling place. You know, that place where you vote. Now, why would they not want ICE officials to be within 40 feet of a polling place? Is that going to become a sanctuary area in Virginia? Is the one place where you actually exercise your right as a U.S. citizen, voting, is that one place in Virginia now going to become a sanctuary area?
Imagine you see what's going on in Minneapolis, right, where you have these protesters that are outside protesting. Do you think that might happen at a polling place? And why that part, right? And then the second part is, why do you think they want to limit immigration enforcement at a polling place?
Because it's the one place you should be checking citizenship. It's the one place you should be checking citizenship.
Is this thing on? pass
It is.
the SAVE Act.
Let's throw something. What do we have?
Leader
I won't.
Thune, pass the SAVE Act. Bring it to the floor for a vote. Pass the
just
SAVE
segued.
Act.
You just segued. Very nice.
Barrasso, Mr. Majority Whip, can you do your job, please? Can you get the votes to pass the SAVE Act? Why do I, as a regular citizen, have to do your job for you? I gave my consent to be governed. That
Yes,
means
ma'am.
I gave you the ability to do the whipping for me. But if you want me to, I can grab my cat and nine tail and go to the Senate and be like, listen, y'all, it's time to flip some tables and secure our integrity. So let's go.
Let's go. Well, and
board.
Allie, it's catching some steam. It seems like we're just talking about it, but it's catching some steam. Senator Jim Risch from Idaho, he's now pushing, and he's pushing publicly because he's using platforms that sometimes they don't dare give us because they don't know how much they can silence and mute us and tell us to calm down. But he is on Fox News and other places pushing for Senate Leader John Thune to bring the SAVE Act forward for a vote. Take a look at this. This is what they posted this morning, or what they had on their show last night. It's a list of SAVE Act co-sponsors. It's a pretty long list. Take a look.
We've got to get this passed. I mean, it's pretty basic. You don't get to vote for the president or the prime minister of Canada, or the prime minister of England or France. If you're illegal, you don't get to register to vote in this country, and you don't get to vote in this country. So we've got to get this passed. We have to have a vote on it, and it's common sense. Hopefully, the Democrats will come on board. But if they're not, why aren't they? I mean, do they want illegals to vote? This is just common sense. So we've got to get this passed. But the first step is we got to get a vote. He's right.
I am so glad this has picked up steam. Sis, you have no idea. You know.
Sis, yes, I do. Listen,
know.
but to our viewers,
Talking about it.
this is what you have to understand, and Allie and I are living it and seeing it in real time. Grassroots,
Yes.
people watching this that are like, I don't do politics, but I know what's right and wrong. You feel it in your gut. You understand this is as simple as right and wrong. Grassroots and independent digital soldiers and independent media pick it up, and we push and we push and we push and we push and we push. And the smoke gets enough from us fanning the flames that then mainstream media and influencers pick it up. And as soon as they pick it up, your representatives understand it. And they find this amazing courage. I don't know where it came. I don't care where it came from.
It came from political pressure. That's where it came from. See, what people don't understand is that they think that when they elect a representative, they're electing someone who already is going to go in there and do the job. But what happens when they get there is they become timid because they're surrounded by lobbyists. They're surrounded by people that don't have their best interests. They're surrounded by snakes and villains, right? It just is. And so they don't know if they're actually going to have the support if they do stand out on that limb and stand up by themselves, with the exception of a few. With the exception of a few, there have been those that would stand up even if they stand alone. However, when you have those that are very timid, it requires all of us to have their back, to push them towards what we want, and to have their back when they do it the right way.
And I'll give you a perfect example. When we were in Tallahassee and we spoke on behalf of supporting the harmful to minors legislation, adding and tightening the teeth in state statute that understands what you and I understand, what is harmful to minors, like giving them pornography. But Representative Bankson has stood alone time and time again. And every time we just keep promising that we'll be there and we'll be there and we'll be there. And largely we are there. And that's what allows him to continue to go, I'm not popular right now, and I'm definitely not getting invited to a lot of these cool swanky parties, but I'll do the right thing. And that's what they need. They need that extra push and that extra help. Somebody that is speaking out now very loudly is Eli Crane, Representative Eli Crane. Let's take a quick listen to what he had to say.
Instance, and fled California. California is set to lose half dozen electoral votes. Other left-wing states, you could see a flip of potentially 40 electoral votes to the Republican column in 2030 after the census, making it virtually impossible for any Democrat to win nationwide. And this seems like a last desperate Hail Mary effort to try and stop that from happening. This is why the criminal aliens have been brought into our country. This is why they're trying to rig the census. This is why I think we need to pass the SAVE Act. And we have to pass the SAVE Act in order to prevent this forever into the future. Are you in favor of perhaps shutting down the House, like Anna Paulina Luna says, to keep the SAVE Act legislation alive and to force the Senate to act on that, perhaps getting rid of the filibuster?
100%. I've been in conversation with Miss Luna before we left Washington last week, and I'm absolutely standing with her on that. But, you know, it's interesting, Benny, because we talk about all of these different issues, right? We talk about the open border. We talk about election integrity. We talk about the fraud in Minnesota. And I think, you know, it's important for the audience to remember that the issue is never the issue. The issue is always revolution, right? That's what these people want. They want to fundamentally remake and tear down the institutions and the culture of this country and, you know, revive it with some form of communism, socialism, etc. And so we have to keep fighting it every single turn, and capitulating to these folks. It will not work out well for you and I. It will not work out for our kids.
Yeah, you can't.
Right.
They smell blood in the water. You largely cannot capitulate to them at all, and that's what they want. They want to try. And I've tried to talk to people locally here about things. You want to come across as the nice guy, the one that's making peace, that's holding both hands of both sides of the aisle, singing "Kumbaya." That's not what we're up against. We're up against Marxist, socialist, communist. They do not stop until they've torn down and completely rebuilt, and that's largely not going to happen here. So glad to see he's on board.
Well, of course he is. I mean, it passed the House like months ago. Passed the House last year, like the middle of last year. This is April of last year.
But he's on board with Luna's call to
Yes.
you know, make sure that they cannot water down the language, and I think
Yep,
that's
100% by utilizing the tools within their toolkit constitutionally. Yes,
Well,
100%. I'm so glad that he is behind her. I'm pretty sure I can name everybody that she's been talking to.
Well, and if you need further proof of why this is so important, we have a big midterm coming up in 2026, right? In November, the primaries in August here in Florida. But guys, if we lose seats in the House or Senate and they cripple Donald Trump to be able to do anything, they're going to impeach him, and you are going to get Democrat policy after Democrat policy from the federal level shoved down your throat, no matter what red state you live in. Here's proof. Listen to Marco Rubio.
No, they would also take over our election system. They pretty much said they want to do that. Val Deming says she also wants the federal government to potentially take over our property insurance, which is, you can just imagine. Maybe that's what the 87,000 IRS agents will do, is run the insurance company. But I mean, the list goes on of the parade of horribles of things they would do. Look, if they were in power, I'm convinced of this now. If they had a filibuster, no filibuster, whatever, and they had been in charge during the COVID, they would have locked down the country. They would have done to the country what they did to New York, what they did to California, what they did to Illinois. That's what they would have done. In fact, Val Demings has said as much, and I think both Demings and Christ are on record as late as I think last summer asking for another shutdown in this state. They would have spent $4-something trillion. They tried to, and even in their infrastructure bill, they brag about only a quarter of that money went to infrastructure. The rest of it went to take on very serious problems like, you know, racist roads and discriminatory trees and whatever else they can think of. And so, look, I'm sorry. I hate to say this about my fellow Americans. These people are out of their minds, and they cannot be allowed to be near power. You know,
I agree with him, and he would know. He is a Cuban American. Of course he would know.
Yes. He's got a great story. His family's got a great story. You want to talk about the American dream?
Goodness.
You know, the way
he's not wrong. He's not wrong in any form. He's not wrong.
No. Absolutely. Guys, we've got so much more coming your way. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Open Mic. You're going to hear a way that you can support not only Open Mic, but you can also support Liberty Cigars with that promo code Open Mic. We'll be right back after this.
In America.
From the heart of Marietta, Georgia, comes a tribute to the spirit of liberty. Liberty Cigars, where history meets craftsmanship. Each cigar tells a story. The Founders Collection honors the visionaries who shaped a nation. The President's House Collection celebrates the leaders who steered it. And the Naval Series salutes the heroes who defended it. Handcrafted with precision, each blend mirrors the essence of its namesake. From the boldness of George Washington to the elegance of Thomas Jefferson. Indulge in a moment of reflection. Light a Liberty cigar and savor the legacy. Discover your story at libertycigars.com, because every great nation deserves a great cigar. Liberty Cigars, smoke the history. And don't forget to use promo code OpenMic for 10% off your order.
back here with Open Mic, guys. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and comment below. We'd like to know where you are watching from, and what is it looking like in your state or in your city? Are you seeing any of the amped up law enforcement presence, especially with ICE, or do you not? Are you fortunate you don't live in a sanctuary state?
And is there any legislation that you need amplified? You need help amplifying in your state?
Yes.
We can help you. Like, we can have you on our show so that you can amplify that information. If you are grassroots and you need help getting that information out, and you need the legislation broken down so that your grassroots counterparts can understand it and then activate, let us know how we can help you, because clearly we're doing it on a national level. We're already doing it on a Florida level. I mean, I've done it with my other organizations on a national level as well in every other state when we were pushing the Parental Bill of Rights. Example was Florida. And so I just, if you need the help, like, utilize your resources, y'all. This is what I tell my kids.
and let's be honest too. If you are a candidate who's running for office, this is part of what we do and why we do it as well. Because being a grassroots candidate, you start to learn what you're going to need help with. What are the systems that you need in place in order to help you? And we've largely been a part of creating that infrastructure as well. So reach out to us, contact@openmicladies.com. Also encourage you to get in touch with our calls to actions, being updated actually this week because we've got a ton. But it is thehollowalliance.com. There's many hats we wear, and we're grateful to do it all. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, new expectant mother, Caroline Leavitt, she had to come out in defense of the commander, Greg Bovino. We showed the clip here last week of him really hitting the ground in Minneapolis and pushing those protesters back, giving a few warnings before he drops tear gas. I mean, listen, guys, I don't know what you're thinking you're going to do by interrupting law enforcement, but there was a rumor that he had been stripped of his command, and that he was, and then it's hard to get a true answer of what exactly happened. Here's Caroline Leavitt setting the record straight, though.
We eliminated non-permanent residence eligibility for.
Let's bring it back. Skipping that one. Sorry. We'll move on to the Caroline Leavitt. She speaks right from the podium in the press room in the White House. Take a listen.
Mr. Bovino is a wonderful man, and he's a great professional. He is going to very much continue to lead Customs and Border Patrol throughout and across the country. Mr. Homan will be the main point of contact on the ground in Minneapolis.
And to follow up, given
Mr. Homan's coming. So you thought you had Bovino and he was going to be like awful and horrendous, and now you're going to get Tom Homan.
Well, so there was rumors that Bovino was being removed as commander at large for Border Patrol. And then it was broken. The story was broken by Nick Sorter. And the massive amounts of people that responded went into like complete chaos and got back to President Trump. And President Trump was like, wait a minute, this isn't what is happening here. He had no idea. Secretary Noem had no idea. And this is coming from posts that Nick Sorter has made public, stating such, and whoever was involved in this saying that he was going to be removed as commander at large will definitely have a bad week. So I'm probably sure to jump off the limb and say that he or she will be fired, because you don't kneecap the president, especially when Bovino has been exceptionally.
And you don't think that when you try to kneecap the president that we're not going to shout from the rooftops and somehow get his attention, because that's like exactly what we do.
And
I
so
think it's
now
pretty funny.
ICE is being removed from Minneapolis because of the police force now has found a new fire underneath them.
Well, and
Daddy Trump.
You mentioned Nick Sorter, and yes, and I just want to play this clip that he shared. He was breaking the news that Border Czar Tom Homan is officially en route to now be the point man for ICE. Take a listen.
By federal officers. Now, President Trump has deployed Border Czar Tom Homan on his way to Minnesota right now. And the president made clear in his statement on Truth Social that Homan will report directly to.
Yeah, I want to just say one thing about the way Fox News reported this, and this is why I pulled it back when I did. They reported it and went on to say and cover. Tim Walz put out a statement. Tampon Tim, governor of Minnesota, put out a statement saying that Trump may be thinking about walking back the number of ICE agents in this. See, I won't even go that far. Did you see a statement come out from Tim Walz? Has he issued an official statement? Because Ask Canada what happens when you come out with an official statement saying you're playing FF games with the President of the United States. It's not going to end well. So I'm not going to be the place that regurgitates that information. And I'm just like, when Fox said that, I was like, listen, stop giving them the narrative on your show. Like, that's not, he didn't put out a statement. If he doesn't put out a statement, I don't believe it.
And this is why there's a lot of people that don't really take what Fox has to say at heart. It's more like a grain of salt, right? They're just like, okay.
That's cute.
Okay. We'll believe it when we see it. But this is why we trust those independent journalists like Nick Sorter, who have been in communication with the administration and has been boots on the ground in several of these Antifa-run states. So, I mean, I trust that. And if we're wrong, then we're wrong. And we apologize, we'll retract and all that. But that never happens on legacy media. Again, this is why, Speaker Mike Johnson, we need to repeal the Smith Modernization Act, whatever it is, call it the Charlie Kirk Act and redo it. I don't know. Whatever.
Absolutely.
Just put the thing on the docket.
Absolutely. And guys, we want to make sure here at Open Mic that you understand what that means by bringing the head of ICE into Minneapolis. You're going to hear a lot of stories. You're going to hear a lot of rumors. You're going to hear a lot of hate and fear porn. And so right here on Open Mic, we're going to break it down for you. Take a look at this. I shared this from Hadass Levy, who actually does our opening track, but it's been circulating everywhere. I know she shared it from somebody. Take a look at Tom Homan. Let's take a look at this. Barack Obama's ICE chief, back when he was in office, received an award for doing almost 1 million removals through ICE. Donald Trump's ICE chief was called a Nazi. You see the difference? The problem is they're both the same person. That's Tom Homan there under the Obama administration doing the job that he's even done under the Trump administration. Now that he does it under Trump, they're calling him a Nazi. It's important to know that in 2012, Obama deported 500,000 people. In 2025, Trump's only deported half as many. The difference is mainstream media's brainwashing. It's the same guy, y'all. Same guy.
What did we call it? It was agitation, right?
It was
agitation and propaganda.
It's agitation and propaganda.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
So this is what happens.
Propagation.
When you have, for sure.
Okay.
This is what happens when you have legacy media who is able to lie to you, to lie and use propaganda to the American people instead of actually holding journalistic integrity and telling the truth. This is why it is also important to remove or repeal or put into new place
again
month act. Okay.
Yes. In 2012, oddly, where Barack Obama decided it was okay for us to undo an act that was kept from allowing us to have propaganda in this country. And I would love a chance to just ask him that one question. What the hell were you thinking? Well, there's more help coming to Minneapolis, and it's coming by way of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. People are going to scream about this. They're going to scream about this, but he just approved the Border Patrol request for the use of Fort Snelling there in Minnesota. They're going to create a base operating as housing for immigration agents, because you see they're ransacking hotels and giving away the location of ICE agents. So he's going to use this base to help house aircraft and personnel. Some people have an issue with it. Before I play it, I want to let everybody know that this aligns with what's called Emerging Innovative Border Techniques Act. It's H.R. 993. So for all you lefties that like to watch because you think you're going to catch us, this is actually, there's precedent set for this, which mandates scalable infrastructure to address border security gaps. They're using your tax dollars and a base that's not at work right now to be able to help our ICE agents. Take a listen. Bring it back, David, yeah. Can't tell if those are people that like it or people that don't, but it doesn't matter because it's not about feelings. It's about facts. It's about the fact that we can use our resources federally to help our federal agents. Pretty cool.
But you know what's really interesting is that I don't know if we're going to get to, we might, I don't know, but there's Minneapolis, their police force decided to join ICE and kind of went after some of the protesters that were outside of the hotel that they I guess, suspected that Bovino is staying in or that these ICE agents were in, and they were literally the ICE agents are on like the top floor standing out of a window, and they're drinking beer and like toasting as like the rioters are getting handcuffed and like being manhandled.
I saw that.
One of them even mooned the entire like audience downstairs. It was like, I am sitting here like, we are governed by a bunch of frat boys. It's great. I love
it's exciting. Well, and largely, I know there's a couple of.
They don't care. They're just like, whatever. We're just doing our job.
There's a couple of assets we're gonna skip in the tech booth there, just for the sake of time. But I do want to make sure we hit on it. That Minnesota is getting help by way of state and local police, and obviously the use of the National Guard. Although we still believe that Trump should federalize that, so they're not under the command necessarily of the governor. But ICE agents also, this was posted, we'll just skip over it real quickly, but Attorney General Pam Bondi is quick to point out that there is already a full stay in place for federal law enforcement officers, so that they cannot challenge this in the courts like they like to do. But take a look at this other video. This is in Georgia. This is a high school. We saw it happen right here in Florida in parts of our area here in Sarasota County. But this is a walkout, a mass anti-ICE walkout. These are high school students. Take a look. David.
I bet you anything. I bet you lunch money. That if you'd have told a classroom full of seniors that you can get the free day if you go out and protest ICE, everybody is leaving the school property to go protest ICE, whether they believe it or not, because it's a free day out of school.
Amen. And here's what I have an issue with this.
We both have an issue.
Well, absolutely, Allie. But in that district, that school district, that high school has a 6% math proficiency.
6%.
And 16% reading proficiency. These are people at the high school level that are supposed to go into college. They're supposed to go into the military. They're supposed to go into corporate America. They're supposed to go into the trades. With only 6% of them understanding basic math and only 16% of them understanding basic reading, you won't be able to read the founding documents. This is why the left fights so hard for education. Because when you dumb down America, you make us reliant on daddy government. And if daddy government's in the hands of the wrong people, they'll be happy to sit there and vote right along because your food, your electric, your bills, your health care, everything is supplied by government. Then you don't need to read and write, I guess. It's infuriating. It's infuriating. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I can't even add anything else. I just honestly, like 6% basic math, guys. Basic math is adding and subtracting. That's basic math. Basic reading is like maybe third grade level.
See Tom run. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but listen, we took out largely throughout the nation. We took out phonics-based reading programs. Who here remembers Hooked on Phonics worked for me? It was like this program that they sold.
My daughter's doing Hooked on Phonics.
Okay, because we realized it works. You know what didn't work? Sight-based reading, where you memorized sight words. It doesn't help you sound out.
No.
We knew that it worked. We peeled it back. We undid it. Now we're stuck with a whole generation of people that we've failed through an education system that they expect you to pay for.
And this is what happens when No Child Left Behind. It didn't help improve scores. All it did was push children to the next grade who couldn't be there, who couldn't do the work in the next grade. So then they end up in remedial math, and then you can't afford tutors because it's too expensive, and most of the families are on, assistance because of it. Like this, it doesn't make any sense. And then you have unions, teachers unions, that instead of using their money to actually come up with better curriculum, no, they want to instill porn and erotic material that excites sexually children. Like none of this makes any sense, but it does make sense if you are a Marxist. If you are trying to generate a new population that will only, like you said, Michelle, be dependent on government. Because once you're dependent on government, nothing else matters. You become like the low IQ of Somalia. You become the low IQ of those that are in these regime-run countries like Iran. Okay? That's what happens.
Your butt belongs in a seat in class. And they need leadership, whether it's the school, whether it's the school district, whether it's the superintendent, to say exactly that, which is why your school board elections are so important. I know we're running short on time. I just want to skip over, but tell you briefly about a few headlines. They are watching Ilhan Omar's intake of money. In 2023, guys, she owned a winery, largely with no working, no business at the address, no winery actually being grown, and no proceeds, and there was no working website. But in 2023, it was valued at $15,000. Guys, buckle up, you small business owners, because in 1 year, it's now valued at a skyrocketing $5 million. I'm sure there's nothing to see there.
Literally like
Nothing
daycares.
Nothing.
to see
I
here
know. But what's happening also in Minnesota that you need to understand, we have been saying for a long time, the reason why ICE agents are in Minneapolis is because of the fraud that they have found, and because we've lifted up the tarp, we've seen what's under it, they're scurrying like cockroaches, so we're in there trying to get all of the illegal criminals out of there. But also, we're trying to do an investigation into the fraud that's taken place, been raping the Minnesota taxpayers. There's also an election fraud component. I did not know this until the other day when Wall Street Apes broke this, but apparently the Minneapolis Attorney General, Keith Ellison, who's already under investigation, is saying, look, the federal government wants our election data. And
they don't want to give it to them.
And I'm like, you know what, Mr. Ellison, you might want to double check, because voter data is public information, which means I don't have to be the federal government. I can FOIA it. I don't even have to FOIA it, Freedom of Information Act. I can go online. You have to, by law, make it accessible to people. But here's him trying to walk it back, and then he finally says the quiet part out loud. Take a listen.
Ask you, the judge seemed to focus on a couple of things: Pam Bondi's letter, and also the president's social media post about a day of retribution. She appeared, especially talking about the Pam Bondi letter, she appeared critical. Is that the way you saw it, and do you think those two things are helping your case?
Let me just say, I think that the judge is incredibly bright and is focusing on the critical issues. I'm not sure what to conclude or based on her questions, but it appeared to me, and I got the sense that she understood the issues very well. And I'll just say on my own behalf that the Pam Bondi letter kind of reveals what this is all about. This is not about fraud, and it's not even about immigration, and it's certainly not about law enforcement. It's about handing over documents of the state of Minnesota, private information, including voting information, to the federal government. That's what this is about. And that's why we're fighting it.
Do you mind?
So you know what somebody does when they're BSing? The first thing they do is they go in there and they sing the praises of the judge.
Yep.
Because this is how they racketeer this stuff. Like, you better get out there and sing my praises. But number two, it is about immigration. It is about fraud. You're tied into it allegedly, Ellison. So we'll let you have your day.
It's about all of it. It's not about one issue. It's about all of the issues. Everything. All encompassing. All of the above. Everything.
Are you serious, guys, that you don't think if they would steal Minnesota taxpayer money, that they wouldn't also try to steal an election? Are they just a little bit fraud? A little bit evil? A little bit of breaking the law? When have you ever known that? Yeah. Well, you know what? Well, innocent until proven guilty, unless you're Donald Trump, I guess. But guys, wish I could give you a good note to leave it on. But the good note is it's working, Allie. We stay 10 toes down. It's working.
It's working. Keep doing it. We gave our consent to be governed, and it's our republic. How will you keep it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
All right,
y'all.
guys.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.
That's it for Open Mic, ladies. We'll catch you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and keep your mic open.
What do you do when the gas is high? Inflation's up in the sky.